In the heart of a small village called Kaluma, nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, lived a widow named Oma. Oma's life had been filled with both joy and sorrow. Her husband, Kwame, had passed away 10 years into their marriage, just when they had finally been blessed with a child after 9 long years of waiting. The villagers often ridiculed Oma during her barren years, their whispers and sneers a constant reminder of her struggle. But the birth of their son, Sefu, brought a glimmer of hope and happiness into her life. However, this joy was short-lived as Kwame fell ill and died shortly after Sefu's birth. Left to fend for herself and her child, Oma faced tremendous hardship. The villagers' sympathy was fleeting, and soon she was alone, with no one to turn to. Kwame had been an only son, and his death left Oma without any familiar support. Determined to provide for her son, Oma sold some of their belongings and used the proceeds to start a small business selling handmade crafts and vegetables at the local market. Every day was a struggle, but Oma's love for Sefu gave her the strength to persevere. Through these challenging times, Oma and Sefu grew incredibly close. They were each other's world, bound by a bond forged in love and hardship. Oma knew everything about her son, his friends, his favorite foods, his little quirks and habits. They were inseparable, and their bond was evident to everyone in Kaluma. Oma often found herself marveling at how much joy Sefu brought into her life, despite the sorrow of losing Kwame. Oma's business slowly grew, and though they were never wealthy, she managed to provide a modest but comfortable life for her son. Sefu, in turn, was a dutiful and loving child, always eager to help his mother with chores and the business. Oma's heart swelled with pride every time she looked at him, knowing that her sacrifices were not in vain. Together, they faced the world, drawing strength from each other. As Sefu grew older, Oma knew that she would have to let him go someday, but the thought filled her with dread. She had dedicated her life to him, and the prospect of him leaving the village for a better future was both a blessing and a curse. Oma prayed for guidance, hoping that when the time came, she would have the strength to let him go and pursue his dreams. One sunny morning, Oma received a letter from her brother, Kofi, who lived in the bustling city of Makona. Kofi was a successful businessman and had always promised to help Oma if the opportunity arose. The letter contained an offer that would change Sefu's life forever. Kofi proposed to take Sefu to the city to further his education, promising to provide him with the best opportunities that Makona had to offer. Oma's heart was filled with mixed emotions as she read the letter. On one hand, she was overjoyed at the thought of Sefu receiving a quality education and a chance for a brighter future. On the other hand, the idea of parting with her beloved son was almost unbearable. She knew that this was a chance she could not deny Sefu, even though it meant facing the loneliness and emptiness that would follow his departure. That evening, Oma sat down with Sefu to discuss the letter. Sefu listened intently, his eyes wide with excitement and curiosity. He had always dreamed of seeing the city, and the prospect of a better education filled him with hope. However, he could see the sadness in his mother's eyes and knew how much this decision weighed on her. "Mother, I promise to visit and call you as often as I can," Sefu said, trying to reassure her. I know this is difficult for you, but this is a chance for me to make something of myself, to make you proud. Oma smiled through her tears, hugging her son tightly. I know, my dear Sefu. I want nothing more than for you to have a better life. Just promise me you'll never forget where you come from, and always remember how much I love you. With the decision made, Oma began preparing for Sefu's journey. She packed his bags with care, including all the necessities he would need in the city. She also prepared a special meal for him to take on the journey, a reminder of home and her love. As the day of departure approached, Oma's heart grew heavier. She knew this was the right decision, but the pain of parting with her son was almost too much to bear. She prayed for strength and guidance, hoping that Sefu's journey would be blessed with success and happiness. The day finally arrived for Sefu to leave for the city. Oma woke up early, her heart heavy with a mixture of pride and sadness. She made Sefu's favorite breakfast and packed a hearty meal for him to take on the journey. As they ate together, Oma couldn't help but feel the weight of the impending separation. After breakfast, Oma and Sefu made their way to the village square, where a small bus would take Sefu to the nearest town. From there, he would travel by train to the city of Makona. The villagers gathered to bid Sefu farewell, offering words of encouragement and advice. Oma stood by her son, trying to hold back her tears as she listened to the well-wishers. Kofi had sent money to cover Sefu's travel expenses and had arranged for a trusted driver to escort him to the train station. Oma felt a sense of relief knowing that her brother had taken care of everything. She hugged Sefu tightly, not wanting to let go. Remember, Sefu, always be kind, work hard, and stay true to yourself, Oma whispered in his ear. No matter where you go, you will always have a home here in Kaluma. Sefu nodded, his eyes filled with determination and a hint of sadness. I promise, mother. I will make you proud. As the bus arrived, Sefu boarded with his belongings. He waved to his mother and the villagers as the bus pulled away. Oma stood there, watching until the bus disappeared from sight. Her heart ached with the loss, but she knew this was the beginning of a new chapter for her son. Oma returned home to an empty house, the silence a stark contrast to the life she had shared with Sefu. She busied herself with chores and her business, trying to fill the void left by her son's departure. Despite the loneliness, Oma found solace in the knowledge that Sefu was on his way to a brighter future. Days turned into weeks, and Oma received letters from Sefu describing his experiences in the city. He wrote about his studies, the new friends he had made, and the wonders of Makona. Each letter brought a smile to Oma's face, reassuring her that Sefu was doing well. Oma continued to work hard, pouring her energy into her business. She found comfort in the routine, knowing that she was supporting her son's dreams. The villagers, who had once ridiculed her, now admired her strength and resilience. Oma had become a symbol of hope and determination in Kaluma. As the months passed, Oma's heart began to heal. She still missed Sefu terribly, but she found joy in knowing that he was thriving. She prayed for his success and happiness, trusting that their bond would remain strong despite the distance. Life in Makona was a whirlwind of new experiences for Sefu. The bustling city was a stark contrast to the quiet village of Kaluma. Tall buildings, busy streets, and the constant hum of activity were both exciting and overwhelming. Sefu's uncle, Kofi, welcomed him warmly and introduced him to his new home. Kofi's house was large and filled with modern amenities that Sefu had never seen before. He marveled at the conveniences of city life, from running water to electricity. Kofi's family was kind and supportive, making Sefu feel at home. They encouraged him to focus on his studies and make the most of the opportunities in Makona. Sefu enrolled in a prestigious school, where he quickly realized that the academic demands were much higher than what he was used to. The classes were challenging, and the other students seemed far more advanced. However, Sefu was determined to succeed. He spent long hours studying, often staying up late into the night. Despite the rigorous academics, Sefu found time to explore the city. He visited museums, parks, and markets, absorbing the culture and vibrancy of Makona. He made new friends, many of whom were also from small villages, and they bonded over their shared experiences. These friendships provided Sefu with a support system, helping him navigate the complexities of city life. Sefu often thought of his mother and their home in Kaluma. He wrote to Oma regularly, describing his adventures and achievements. His letters were filled with excitement and gratitude, assuring Oma that he was making the most of his time in the city. Oma's responses were always filled with love and encouragement, reminding Sefu to stay grounded and true to himself. One day, while exploring a local market, Sefu met a girl named Nia. She was bright and cheerful, with a warm smile that immediately caught Sefu's attention. They struck up a conversation, and Sefu was impressed by Nia's intelligence and kindness. They exchanged contact information and began spending time together. As Sefu and Nia grew closer, he found himself falling in love for the first time. Nia was supportive and understanding, and they shared many common interests. However, Sefu remembered his promise to Oma and decided to introduce Nia to her through his letters. Oma, ever the protective mother, advised Sefu to be cautious and take his time getting to know Nia. Their relationship blossomed, but Sefu's happiness was short-lived. After a few months, Nia ended the relationship, leaving Sefu heartbroken. She felt that Sefu was too focused on his studies and not tough enough for city life. Devastated, Sefu called Oma, seeking comfort and guidance. Oma consoled her son, reminding him that not everyone in the city understood their values and roots. She advised him to stay strong and focused on his goals. From that moment, Sefu promised to keep his mother involved in his romantic decisions, valuing her wisdom and insight. Thank you for watching. In this story, I hope you learned something from this story. Please share with us what you learned from this story in the comment section, and also share with us where you're watching the story from. Don't forget to share this beautiful story with your loved ones. Like and subscribe if you've not done so, until I bring another story your way. Bye.